Oh my god guys, I've just discovered that there are a bunch of live action specials based on Fox's cartoons. There's American Dad, Bob's Burgers, The Simpsons, and not just one, but 2 Family Guy ones. How have I never heard of these before? Although some of these do look a little off. But hey, I'm going to reserve all judgment for now and review them on their own merits. So let's get into it and start with the first Family Guy one. So the episode opens with Lois on the couch, and right off the bat there seems to be a few glaring issues. For one, the couch should be pink and the paintings on the wall should be of mountains, not of London and Paris. Boy, I sure hope someone got fired for that blunder. But credit where credit's due, the set layout is mostly accurate, and at least the blue walls look about right. But now on to the most important part. Do the actors nail their impressions? Well, Lois is surprisingly spot on with her voice and look, but Peter, not so much. He just kind of looks as though he's got a cushion stuffed under his shirt, but he does make up for it with a pretty decent impression.
How do you sleep?
Oh, terrible, Lois. I had a nightmare the house was overrun by hedgehogs.
So next up, we're at the drunken clown with Peter and the gang, and we get this cutaway of 2.5 X-Men.
Oh, come on, Joe. It's better than watching Charlie Sheen's replacement.
And now back to 2.5 X-Men.
I'm off to go bang Storm now.
We then get another cutaway with Peter talking about Lois catching him choking the chicken, revealing that he literally choked the giant chicken, which did make me genuinely laugh. Already, this special is far better than most of season 23 so far. I mean, that 3rd episode was so unbelievably boring. I literally didn't laugh once. Anyway, the character portrayals are pretty solid. Joe looks the part, Quagmire is constantly moving his head around, which is a nice touch, and the actor for Cleveland is, well...
Can you believe that? Me? Not exciting?
At least he's trying. The plot is very simple here. The guys are all in a dry spell, so they make a vow to go and get laid. So Cleveland goes home to Donna, and to add a bit of spice into their love life, he wants to roleplay.
I'm just getting my role play on. I'm Big Papa, and you're my little Kim.
And this actually works, and they start kissing, which is very, very sweet, and then they keep going, and this is isn't it? Okay, let's drop the act. We all know what this is here. We're all adults. At least, I hope we are. No, I had never even heard of these parodies before until very recently, but I thought it would be really funny to go through all of these adult movies and review them. I'll be breaking down their jokes, the impressions, and how accurate they really are to the show. And of course, I'm skipping all the corn scenes and focusing strictly on the storylines. I'm a professional here.
Come on, Marge, who's gonna walk in? Flanders?
Hadley doodly.
So, released in 2012, the DVD cover for this Family Guy parody promises that it'll make you giggity goo. Well, we'll see about that. Like I already said, I'm obviously not going to review all the naughty scenes, but I gotta say, they missed a real opportunity with Cleveland, as he should have really finished by saying,
"Ow!" And boom goes the dynamite.
And after they've boomed dynamite, we then see Quagmire hitting on Meg.
What are you doing here?
You in about 3 minutes. Alright.
What?
Weirdly enough though, this came out in March 2012, and the actual Family Guy episode called Meg and Quagmire wouldn't air until 3 months after this. And both times they were very creepy.
Alright.
And after they've done the giggity, Joe and Bonnie's scene follows.
Yeah, whose legs aren't paralyzed?
Yours.
That's right, make me kick.
And honestly, this is pretty much spot on for how Joe's jokes play out in the actual show. But yes, and finally, we get to Peter and Lois. And I really did try and skip all the TNA action and just get to the good stuff, i.e. the talking bits, but when I fast forwarded to see if there were any actual storyline conclusions to the end, I stopped at this final scene of Peter doing a callback to the injured knee gag. Which is gross, but also quite funny. Overall, I thought the impressions were decent, especially for a corn parody, and some of the jokes actually weren't too bad either. There are a few good callbacks to the gags on the actual show, and you could really tell that the people behind this actually put in some effort. They were most likely fans of the show. But overall, the story wasn't hugely original, but the same can be said for the actual show. I mean, it's why I haven't been doing reviews this season. I have nothing to say. But yes, moving on, next up we have the second Family Guy parody, 2019's Family Effing Guy. And holy crap, the guy dressed as Brian is literally straight up nightmare fuel. Why couldn't they have left the dog out of this? Look at him. Terrifying. The impressions in this one are, I guess, alright, although I would say that the last one did a far better job at matching their cartoon counterparts. But at least this one has got the purple colour of the couch alright, so that's what I was really looking out for here. As you'd expect, there's not too much setup, but at least there are a couple of quick jokes here.
I can help, Mom.
Shut up, Meg.
Then of course it goes straight into the action and it doesn't waste any time. And let me tell you, this one is a hell of a lot creepier because Lois hooks up with Chris and Brian and then Peter gets it on with Meg. And I reiterate, I did skip through, but the idea alone is enough to make me want to bleach my eyes out. Even if the official Family Guy writers themselves have made these weird jokes a couple of times before.
I am about to do something to you that you will not remember until you're 40.
In an interview, the producer of this parody said that the actresses Phillips and Cole bring these characters to life. These scenes bring everyone's ultimate fantasy about the Family Guy women into fruition. And I mean, is this really everyone's fantasy about Lois and Meg getting it on with their family members? I hope not. This is a massive downgrade from the previous parody, which put a whole lot more time and effort into their production. I mean, they even had a theme song, cutaway gags, and the giant chicken. This one was more interested in getting to the naughty stuff as soon as possible. I like a little story on my Family Guy corn, thank you very much. And now we move on to the American Dad parody from 2011, and I have to say that this is hands down way better than both of the Family Guy parodies that I've spoken about before, because this one, like the first one, does start off with its own very catchy theme song, which is better than the Family Guy one.
Good old USA! What a crazy, superific, all-American day!
The set design is also surprisingly accurate, and everyone does at least look like their characters. Although I do have to say that Stan's suit should be blue, but hey, I'll let it slide. At least he has the big old chin. Roger, on the other hand, is, my god, terrifying. They could have at least tried a little harder with his costume, but thankfully, the actor absolutely nails the impression.
Oh, Margarita, dance with me.
You can tell that this guy is definitely a fan of the show, and he really is the highlight of the entire piece.
He should know better by now than to trust me with secrets. Ha, 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 ha. Away.
But then again, that costume. So I'm going to ask you guys a question now. Who is scarier? Weird adult parody Brian or weird adult parody Roger? Alien emoji for Roger or dog emoji for Brian? Let me know in the comments below. So the plot is that Steve is turning 18, and while he wants to play Dungeons and Dragons, Stan insists that it's time for him to become a real man, which, spoiler alert, he does later on. Meanwhile, Haley needs some money to save the trees, but Roger doesn't want to give it to her unless she does something for him, if you know what I'm saying.
Glad to see you're on board. So now all you have to do is let me have my way with you.
Now again, I skipped past all the saucy scenes as quickly as possible too, but I have to point out one glaring continuity error. Roger canonically doesn't have any genitalia. I mean, come on, did they even watch the show?
And I have no genitals.
That's okay. I have both.
Oh yeah, and Klaus is here too, but he's just a real fish in a real fishbowl, and they put a German voiceover on top of him, which honestly is kind of funny.
Because I love you.
What'd you say?
Oh, nothing.
Also, Jeff hooks up with Francine, because, I guess, why not? Although I am a little miffed that absolutely nobody sang this song once.
Give me some of that Franny Fanny! Give me some of that Franny Fanny!
Although I can't not say that there is an extremely racist scene here where Tosh is portrayed by a white guy looking like this. And I don't think I've seen this level of offensiveness since Mickey Rooney in Breakfast at Tiffany's. Shame on you, American Dad XX parody, I'm deducting a point. Like with the first Family Guy parody, what I really admired here was the change of locations, because you had Roger's attic, which looked really spot on. You also had Stan's CIA HQ, a strip club, the living room, as well as the kitchen. They even got the little detail of the terror threat indicator on the fridge right.
We're at Terror Alert Orange.
Which means something might go down somewhere in some way at some point in time, so look sharp!
Now that's attention to detail. As parodies go, this one went the extra mile. This one had fun with the idea, and the storyline was a little more creative than the other two mentioned. So next up, we have, and I hate to say it, The Simpsons XXX parody. And as someone who has watched this show ever since I was a little child, this one was a really hard watch. It basically starts off with two shifty guys by a bridge swapping over Homer and Marge's quote-unquote tape, which then cuts to Marge recording herself in the bathroom mirror.
Really brings out the yellow in my skin and the blue in my hair.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I really do think that they totally used real clips of Homer's voice from the show.
Oh.
Now, most of Homer's scenes here are POV, but we do see him once in the mirror and it's a jump scare. That hair does not look right on any real person. Now, there isn't much plot here. It's even less plot than this second Family Guy one, because Marge gets all frisky by filming herself and she and Homer then get it on. And thank God that unlike the other three I mentioned, the kids are left out of this one. We don't need that. But that's not to say that we don't get other characters involved in this one. Like we get a McBain parody.
I guess I'll have to find a new place to hide my plutonium. Like in your pants.
And Mo gets it on with Cookie Kwan.
So let's get down to business, Mo. You want Cookie Kwan to sell your apartment?
I'm not gonna lie, it was really weird seeing the characters that I grew up with portrayed in this way. And The Simpsons with their yellow skin just doesn't translate too well to real life. It just looks like everyone's suffering from jaundice or something. Now, compared to the American Dad one, this one was pretty weak and certainly could have had a lot more laughs. But then again, it could have been a lot worse. They could have done something like this.
One at a time! One at a time!
But just when I thought I was done with the Fox parodies, I stumbled upon another one. Bob's Boners. And this is, pants down, the best of the bunch. I mean, listen to how spot on Teddy is.
Thanks, Bob.
That is uncanny. Even the actors playing Bob and Linda capture their personalities really quite well. So now to the plot, and an adult convention is coming to town and Bob realises that this would be the perfect place to sell his burgers. And we get a solid 7.5 minutes before we get to the actual action. And honestly, I think that was because everyone was having so much fun recreating the Bob's Burgers characters and then realised, oh yeah, this is supposed to be corn, let's start taking our clothes off. There's even an extended cutaway where they then read Tina's diary and she's fantasizing about Jimmy Jr.'s butt as well as sexy zombies. And don't worry, because they don't get it on, it's only Bob and Linda. Thankfully. Although what I would say is that when Bob is putting the meat inside the buns, they are doing it right on the counter. And not only is that totally unsanitary, but they also have a giant window so everyone can see them. Hugo would definitely be shutting down the restaurant if he ever saw that. Now, even though this one is much shorter than the first Family Guy and American Dad parodies, I feel like they got so many more jokes in, and they are very faithful to their source material. I also stumbled upon this interview of the cast's reaction to it, and they all thought it was really pretty funny.
I guess it's an honor, you know, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
So overall, if I was to rate these as faithful live action episodes, I would rank Bob's Burgers first, American Dad second, 2012's Family Guy third, and then 2019's Family Guy, and then The Simpsons in last place. So yes, now if you'll excuse me, I'm off to wipe my internet history.